LeBron, if you out there, man, just invite us over to Taco Tuesday. I'm always hungry. This one's always hungry.
So he's not gonna invite us to Taco Tuesday. We shared his acting skills so much where I think we're not gonna get an invitation.
Nah, if you invite me over, if you invite us over, maybe I can give you some acting tips. No?
I don't think he's gonna do it. I'm Antoine.
And I'm Antoinette.
And we're here just to give a quick review comparison of Space Jam 1 and Space Jam 2: A New Legacy. Our thoughts, our opinions about it, what we thought about the movies. We just thought we'd share with you guys. I'm just going to give a quick overview of Space Jam 1 in case you guys didn't already see. I'm quite sure many of you guys saw the movie already. So Space Jam 1 is about the childhood of Michael Jordan. He's on the court, talks about his journey to a basketball player and everything like that. The movie switches and it goes to a group of aliens on this distant planet called Moron Mountain. This guy, he's the leader of the planet. He discovers the Looney Tunes. He wants to make an amusement park exciting, and he felt like the Looney Tunes would be a really good people to make that happen. He decides to order a group of these like small little whippy aliens. They're going to be the ones to complete this mission for him, acquire the Looney Tunes and bring them back to the planet so he can make his amusement park lit and exciting and etc. So he sends these little aliens to Earth to find the Looney Tunes. These little aliens finally do encounter the Looney Tunes. They think they're cute. They're like joking with them. They're trying to introduce their plan and trying to see if they can like come back to their planet. They're not as willing to do that, but they did challenge them to a basketball game, and they have to go back to the planet, be a part of this amusement park with the aliens. They want to ensure that they win this game. They want to make sure they get this victory. They actually go to a basketball game at the Madison Square Garden. They try to disguise themselves so they can stack themselves up to resemble like an actual human being. They sit in the stands. They have like this magical ability. Spirit goes into the basketball court, suck the talent out of these NBA players, and they suck it into like this magical basketball. And they do that several times, several NBA players, so they get enough talent, so they strong enough chance to win this basketball game against the Looney Tunes. They absorb all this talent and they become these gigantic, talented NBA players, and they become the Monstars. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan retires from the NBA. He becomes a baseball player. Many of you guys remember that when he made that transition to baseball. He had a secondary passion other than basketball and sports, and it was baseball, and he went to pursue that. The Looney Tunes knew who Michael Jordan is, and it's like, we want to ensure that we're going to win. They actually kidnap him. Michael Jordan falls into the Looney Tune universe. He's like mind blown. He sees these little cartoon characters. He's like confused. He's like annoyed by them as well. I can imagine if you were around any Looney Tune and how annoyed it can be. He agrees to win his basketball game against the alien. Michael Jordan, in preparation for this game, he trained them on how to be decent basketball players. Thinking about it, I don't know why the Monsters felt the need to instill his talent for the NBA players, because they're just Looney Tunes. They were like good basketball players to begin with, but I guess they really wanted to ensure that they were going to win this game. So long story short, they actually do have the basketball game. It's a really challenging game. Eventually, the Looney Tunes, they come out victorious, and that's the end of the movie.
I'm gonna give you guys a quick summary of Space Jam: A New Legacy with LeBron James. The movie starts off at a basketball game, and his friend gives him a Game Boy, which if you're any kind of 90s kid, you know how big of a deal getting a Game Boy was. He's sitting courtside and he's playing the Game Boy and he's completely distracted. The coach calls him in to play. There's like 10 seconds on the buzzer and he shoots and he misses. After the game, the coach talks to him and he's like, games aren't for you, just focus on basketball and there's no time for fun. LeBron James ends up throwing away the Game Boy, which I was like, okay, that's a bit extreme. We are sent to the present day. We see LeBron James' mansion. His two sons are playing on the court. His youngest son isn't really into basketball. He's actually really into video games and he wants to be a game developer. He's playing the game and then LeBron comes and he sees that his son is playing and he's like, man, you don't have time for these games. You need to get really good at basketball. His youngest son gets really upset about that. So LeBron decides, okay, I need to reach out to my son. The son shows a video game that he developed, which is a basketball game, and LeBron does his move in the game and then the game gets completely erased. The son is upset. LeBron is like, oh man, I'm sorry. How about you go with me over to the Warner Brothers studio? I got an email from them. While that was happening, the Warner Brothers studio have an algorithm called Algorithm who comes up with new ideas. So Algorithm realizes that everybody loves LeBron James and he's like, we're going to put LeBron James in every Warner Brothers movie. When LeBron and his youngest son get over to the studio, Algorithm gives a presentation on it and LeBron's like, I don't got time for this. The algorithm takes that personal. He lures LeBron and his son into like this computer database and he zaps them into his own universe. He hides LeBron's son and tells them, if you win in the basketball game, you get your son back. If I win, then you have to do the contract that you rejected in the first place. LeBron ends up meeting up with Bugs Bunny and they go on this quest to gather all the Looney Tunes for this basketball game. At the same time that LeBron's getting his team together, Algorithm is messing with LeBron's son's mind telling him, hey, your dad doesn't listen to you. You can beat him at his own game. We make your video game, have your dad play, beat your dad, and it'll be amazing. So he creates all these crazy characters that are like the Monstars. By the time LeBron gets all the Looney Tunes together, it's time for the game. So his son is on the Goon Squad, LeBron is on the Toon Squad, and they are doing this ultimate basketball game. By third quarter, Bron's team, they are losing bad. The Looney Tunes are like, sorry, Bron, we're just trying to be like you. And LeBron's like, I never let my son be himself. The Looney Tunes are trying to be like me instead of being their selves. That's not working. So he tells the Looney Tunes, be yourself. Let's go out there, have some fun. So they end up playing, long story short, Toon Squad wins. There's a really sweet moment where him and his son bond, and he realizes, son, if game developing is what you want to do, you do it. But you do what you're good at.
So that's just our summation of both movies. We're gonna talk about the differences and similarities of Space Jam 1 and Space Jam 2: A New Legacy. Some of the notable differences that we observed, the CGI in the sequel was significantly better with technology, you know, that's available nowadays with films.
I hate CGI, by the way. I did not want to see a 3D Bugs Bunny.
Right. It got a little weird how they made that transition from like 2D characters,
Yeah.
3D scenes, but that's what they wanted to do. And another obvious difference many people agree on was the acting.
Oh, I'm sorry, King James, but you can't act, my boy, my guy. This ain't for you, bruh. We watched both movies, right? I was genuinely shocked by how decent of an actor Michael Jordan was. And then we watched the second one and I was like, oh Lord, this is trash.
And if you compare the acting, it was like night and day. There's always controversy about who's better. Michael Jordan and LeBron James is like a never-ending debate, but when it comes to acting, we have a clear winner with MJ. Me and my girlfriend watched the film and there was so many cringe-worthy moments.
Oh my gosh.
I had to remind myself, like, listen, this is a kid's movie, so don't be over-analytical and over-critical of the movie.
By the first 20 minutes, if I cringe any harder than this, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through this movie. It was just really bad. Another huge difference, the involvement of the kids in the movie. In the first Space Jam, the kids were basically not in the movie, even though it is a kid's movie. In the second one, it was really about LeBron James' relationship with his son.
Most of the time, people go to watch this movie, they're going to oftentimes bring the family.
It's always good to see a good father-son relationship. It's one of those things that watching the original, I'm like, I wish there was a little bit more of that.
Michael Jordan's family, they made brief appearances in the first one, but it's like they didn't really have a significant roles. The family involvement in LeBron James's Space Jam was much more significant. And then another difference that we know is the sequel, they didn't restrict their characters solely on the Looney Tunes, a more broad scale range of characters. So we saw appearances from Batman, Superman, we saw appearances from Wonder Woman, different cameos. We also saw like one random appearance from Rick and Morty that was like
yeah,
really
that's
random.
what threw me.
You know, and my girlfriend's like a Rick and Morty fan, so I thought that was like noteworthy.
At first it was kind of cool. You see all these like Warner Brothers characters going through different worlds in the Warner Brothers universe. By the time the basketball game comes, it got to the point where it was getting a little ridiculous and it was now becoming a bit distracting. It felt like you were doing Where's Waldo. You're like in the crowd like, who's this, who's that?
So we talk about some of the similarities, and obviously, you know, with the both Space Jam movies, they chose the most decorated NBA players to cast in these movies. During the MJ era, he was considered the best in his era. LeBron is considered the best in his era. They chose the two most decorated to play in the Space Jam movie. It was no debate that LeBron James should play, you know, be the leading character in this Space Jam.
LeBron James is always in Michael Jordan's shadow. So to have him be the person who is playing this is just another way we're comparing Jordan to LeBron James. LeBron James can't fill those shoes no matter how hard he tries. A good similarity is just kind of the parallels between the movie and real life. Because in the movie, actually, the Looney Tunes are losing so bad, so they're like, ah, man, we wish Mike was here. Even in his own movie.
This first Space Jam, it's like, yo, we gotta get Jordan. Even we had to kidnap him. And they basically, Looney Tunes like kidnapped Michael Jordan, forced them to help him. And it's like in the sequels,
he kind of just stumbled into the universe.
Basically. So it's always gonna be that comparison. So this is just another
example of that.
Example, exactly. And then we notice another similarity is the way the movie opened. They both open with their childhood memory of them beginning stages of their basketball journeys.
Another huge similarity in the movies is the message that they're trying to send to kids, that the thing that you should do is the thing that you're best at. I feel like the second movie did a more concise job of sending that message. In the first one, MJ's playing baseball, and even though he's terrible at it, they didn't really care that he was bad. It ended up being like, I'm really good at basketball, and that's the thing that I should stick to. In the sequel, LeBron is trying to force basketball on his son, and his son is really into video games and being a game developer. At the end, he comes to realize, I should appreciate and love my son for the things that he's good at. It gets the message across that follow your dreams, follow your passions. That's a really good quality message for young kids to see. Alright, so now we're gonna just give a brief conversation about which one that we thought was better.
I think the genuine consensus that the first one is better. I think there's no debate there. So yeah, there you have it.
You're not gonna.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously we thought the first one was better. I think it was primarily because of the acting. I think the acting was really a determining factor of which movie was better. I'm a LeBron James fan. I'm not a LeBron James hater like a lot of people are in the sports world. I'm just gonna be really objective. His acting wasn't really that good, especially when you compare it to MJ's acting. And I'm not saying MJ was like a Golden Globe actor, but when you do a comparison, Jordan stood out as being a better actor. I'm not gonna lie, like this is why we're not getting invited to Taco Tuesday because I fell asleep about 3 times in the movie. So if you guys look at the video, this is the reason why like I'm doing the synopsis of 1 and she's doing the synopsis of 2 because I don't really know much about it because I fell asleep with her like the last hour, like 3 times.
At one point I was like, you know what, babe, just stay asleep. I'm gonna finish watching the movie. You could just do the synopsis of the first one because you are obviously not gonna get through this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It wasn't enough to maintain my attention because the acting was just that bad.
One of the great qualities, the second one, was how in-depth the story was. The first one kind of flew at you, but the second one had a really in-depth story and very clear plot line. You actually cared about LeBron and his son having these differences. One of the things that I really liked about the second one was the fact that LeBron James was a human being you could like and dislike, where the first one almost felt like a propaganda film from Michael Jordan. He was like this perfect being.
I definitely agree with that. The second one had more substance to the storyline versus the first one. The second one is more concentrated on family, pursuing your passions and the things that you really care about, and not being selfish. And another thing we noticed as well, the second movie thought it was like a little bit too long. It was like 2 hours, right?
Yeah. Child me could not have sat through this movie. Like, Ma, I'm ready to go home. I don't even need to see the ending.
At the very least. They could have shaved like 30 minutes off of it. They spent most of the movie making all the cameos, so you kind of got distracted from the story a little bit too drawn out. I feel like many of you guys probably feel the same. So there you have it. This is another LeBron versus MJ topic. It never ending debate. I love them both equally. I think it was only right that they chose LeBron James for the sequel. They were decent films. We just felt the first one was better. I think that's a general consensus. That sums up our review comparison video. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe.
Hey, if you love the movie, please let us know why, because I need to know why you enjoyed this.
Right. We want to know why. So hey, feel free to share. We're open. We want to hear from you guys.
See you in the next one.